I've made a fair few videos talking about the situation with XQC because this is something that is going on in the background and a lot is at stake. And it seems to be a very awkward situation because every other streamer also knows about it going on, but no one else really seems to want to talk about it. Now, you could also argue and say, why are you talking about someone's private and personal life? But to be fair, most of it has been streamed and basically put out there in the public viewing anyway, multiple times.
Why is no one covering this? Why is no one speaking on this? Why is no one saying this? You got the biggest streamer in the goddamn world being accused or alleged or whatever you want to put, insinuated of SA in a... Look, this is straight from the police department, which the investigation closed.
So you may remember the situation a couple weeks ago where XQC and other React streamers were getting a lot of flack because they would just sit there, watch a video, and not really have any kind of reaction. This mainly came to a head because XQC reacted to the new Lemino video. This guy, he does amazing documentaries, the graphics, the storytelling, it's really good. But XQC kind of just sat there, didn't really add much input, and then whenever he needed to go to the toilet, he'd just leave the stream running, something which, you know, Hassan does as well. Now, it's funny because I've been on the internet for a while, and I've noticed that this hatred towards reaction streamers, it just seems to come around once a year. It's basically like a doctor's appointment. And while the entire internet was hating XQC for about 24 hours, his ex, Adept, managed to jump on the situation, even atting H3H3 saying check your inboxes. So if you don't know, XQC and Adept were together, they split it off, but Adept has basically been trying to argue all along that they were married or like informally married, even though there was no actual marriage that took place. She's basically saying that because she can get to half of his wealth if it's been proven in court that that was the case. This is a Texas law called the common law marriage. Now, earlier this year, there was some like leaked divorce findings basically saying that between August 2020 and October 2022, the filings say that allegedly they were married, but X has like pretty much always valiantly denied this. He doesn't think it's real. Now, the rumors for pretty much all of this started when Adept actually crashed into X's stream. And she was like, this was back in like January. And she basically goes on to say, you're like violating a court order.
Shh.
You're violating a...
Oh my God, shut up! My God!
But during this legal proceeding, there's been like a lot of things that X has had to kind of adhere to kind of win his part of the lawsuit. Like, for example, he's not allowed to talk about it. He is actually not even allowed to comment on the situation, which everyone knows is going on. That's because Adept filed a restraining order, meaning that he can't openly speak about the divorce because it's kind of implied that he'll send all of his juices after Adept. And also, apparently it's wrote down that he isn't allowed to take any steps to stalk, harass, threaten, or otherwise intimidate, which includes his presence online. Now, this is where the situation gets very confusing because I did talk about the common law marriage thing earlier in Texas. The laws for it, they're very, very stupid. So apparently, common law marriage in Texas, you don't even have to get like officially married to be considered a married couple. As long as there's certain criteria, like the couple agrees to be married, the couple agrees to live together, the couple represents that they are a married couple to others, 18 years or older, not related to each other. I love how Texas needs to specify that, by the way. Like all the other rules, they're fine, but like not related to each other, that's when it's not common law marriage. Now, obviously, that sounds really, really stupid and confusing, right? Because it basically turns into a he said, she said. If Adept wants the money, she wants 50%, she's obviously going to say that they agreed. X wants to keep his 50%, he's obviously going to say that he never agreed. But then it gets even more confusing. Like, for example, a McLaren car he bought Adept. The car is in Adept's name. And this is like a legally binding document that they both signed together. So you may have also remembered my last video talking about XQC when he went on a debate with Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast to basically talk about, you know, giving credit. What is reaction content? Is it transformative? Is it fair use? And the entire stream just ended up delving into personal insults, and then XQC ended by doing the worm. What Ethan also did after the podcast was leak DMs of XQC. I mean, to be fair, I don't really blame him because XQC was being a complete asshole. I think at one point he was saying like, this house costs more than your rent or something like that, like it's a little tay bit, despite the fact that both of these people have well over like $30-40 million in their bank account. But then, as is tradition, Adept, XQC's ex, chose to involve herself in the situation and basically do a bunch of snides on a live stream talking about those DMs that got leaked. Most importantly, the watch. But obviously her doing that little snide towards him completely backfired because it basically proved to the juicers, to XQC's fan base, that she has just been like rent-free stalking this guy, waiting for him to slip up so she can make a joke about it. You've also got the live stream fails subreddit, which to be fair, they post absolutely nothing apart from Forzen and then XQC clips. And you got people in the comments calling the behavior a manic episode, saying that went live just to do this because she definitely lost the court case, lol. Now, to be devil's advocate, the thing is with Adept, she's always on the losing side. She's going up against someone with a monumentally huge fan base that will basically God defend the guy until the day he dies. So already it's a losing battle, but obviously going live just to do these little like snide jabs at him.
Riss, I can't even fucking hear you. You're insecure, you're fat, you're bald, and you're jealous. On mute, on mute, on mute. Oh, I'm embarrassing myself. What's embarrassing about this, bro?
It looks pathetic. It really does. And also back to the McLaren, the car that XQC bought for Adept that they kind of co-signed together. That has ended up just being a complete mess, and Adept is basically dangling it over his head. And now the situation has got even worse because Adept is basically just straight up accusing XQC of sexual assault. Now, this was previously brought up by XQC's ex-girlfriend, another ex-girlfriend called Fran. And apparently XQC and Fran, when they were dating, I think he like grabbed her butt in bed or something. And Adept caught wind of this and then tried to basically go ahead herself and file an entire sexual harassment claim. I think, you know, you're in a really bad situation when your most recent ex is actually like God defending you on a stream, because she could have so easily just doubled down and been like, yeah, grab my ass, because there's no one else to corroborate that story.
And in between the night terrors, he grabs my butt and like I was like, oh shit, like we initiating sexy time. And then I realized, I was like, I don't think he's awake. I'm not in the mood. I say no. And even in his sleep, he was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then he like rolls over and goes back to sleep. That is the sexual night terror. Like, what the fuck? And you know what she's doing? She used that, what I said, and is trying to paint Felix as like an essay, like that he essayed me. She quite literally took that and tried to twist it and fit into a fake narrative. Are you kidding me?
And the most hilarious part about all of this is that XQC's, you know, the SA lawsuit that was filed against him, it's been completely dropped because of lack of evidence. Again, big shock. You can't just say words on the internet with nothing concrete to actually back it up. Not even your claim, by the way. No wonder it got dropped. I mean, even at the time that I recorded this video, that there was another stream that she did today, just repeating the exact same talking points, like she's not backing down.
And the person that keeps causing confusion and chaos in all of this wants to cause confusion and chaos so that you're outraged at me, because they don't want you to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And what I'm telling you to do is just give it time, because all of that will be answered in time. And it really puts you in a state of ambivalence, of not knowing if it actually is worth standing up for yourself, or if it would have been better to just disappear from this person. It keeps you in a state of unknowing. It's a back and forth. Sharing it with people, or just be honest. Those are your two options. Oh my God, we lost Subway servers.
It even got so bad that it seems that Adept actually wanted to be wrote into XQC's will, because XQC has an insane amount of money. And obviously him and his family wanted to secure that, because I'm not sure if many of you know, if you pass away in a lot of countries and you don't have a will, the government can just happily yoink 50% of that. It is insane. Like, for example, me, my family's wrote wills, I've wrote a will. I seem young, but you need to, because the fact the government can just slurp up all that money without you writing a piece of paper is crazy. But obviously Adept's main concern was basically, if X passed away, how much money would I get?
I didn't really feel good about like how I was feeling and my health overall. Not for things nobody knows about any of his people. I don't want people to speculate. I just didn't feel right. And then I was writing my will with my mom and whatever, and then the person I was with, I was kind of like, I was like, yeah, I don't feel really good and whatever. And then if I die, if I check out, or like I want people to get stuff, and that person was not on the will. And then it was like at a moment where I'm like really vulnerable at my kind of lowest, like it's kind of like oh wow, like I'm so scared. I'm writing a will down, hearing them just say like, okay, then if that happens, then what do I get?
And again, there have been so many examples of this. Now, I do have to say, on both sides, there is a lot of sniding. Adept will snide XQC a lot. XQC will snide Adept a lot because they can't, like, publicly talk about it because then they'll be gunned down. So you're reduced to this kind of 4D chess where you just make really cringy insinuations. But for example, on this stream, where she's watching, like, a JCS Law and Order type thing, she basically alleges that XQC, like, broke into her home, but when asked for evidence, she's got nothing to back it up.
I am happy to report that this year, after the Streamy Awards, my home was not broken into while I wasn't there. My computer was not gone through so that someone could know my location in real time because I wasn't answering texts and phone calls. So shout out to the Streamy Awards. This is beautiful. This is great. The first time within the last 2 years that this has ever happened. Wow. Wow.
And then there was another story told by Fran, XQC's ex, the ex of XQC, what a power word. And Adept basically accused XQC of family violence, filed a protective order after like spending the night with him in Texas, and unsurprisingly, that lawsuit was very quickly dropped.
She filed a second court case stating family violence because he didn't give her what she wanted. Guys, the judge thought this was so retarded that the judge actually threw the case away that fast that a lot of you guys probably don't even know about it.
There was also another instance when XQC subpoenaed basically all of Adept's stuff, getting access to voice messages, etc.
Computer that I had in the kitchen normally, the one that would do the Animal Crossing streams on, I'm using that because I currently do not have my hard drive or my solid state drives. No comment on where they're at. I don't think it's something I can talk about, but I don't have them at the moment. So sorry about that.
And this proved that that alleged like video of abuse basically never happened. It doesn't exist. So yeah, overall, this is a really horrible situation and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better for like both parties. It sucks and it's weird to talk about. Again, I can see why so many YouTubers like Critical and that have stayed away from this topic because the thing is like they regularly collab, they'll appear on the occasional stream. And if you have someone like kind of talking about your relationship and your legal troubles, it seems like a bit of a backstab. But obviously that being said, I do want to go ahead and say like the only reason I'm talking about this is because both parties have basically aired this dirty laundry themselves on the amount of streams of them alluding to stuff, talking about stuff. And I also think as well, like it's gone on for so long that we don't really seem to actually understand what the whole situation is. I know a lot of people just hear about it and they go, HDMI adapter, le bad, which is kind of true, to be fair, pretty much is the entire point. But also it's really interesting kind of looking into the topic and just kind of, you know, seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes. Honestly, it sucks. And I can really tell that X is like being affected by this a lot. Probably because, you know, he starts posting like Bladey on his Instagram. I mean, that's even why like I've parted my hair under the cap. You know, I gotta pay homage, homage to the juicer.